In the summer of
UW4
2009, I was
24H.
visiting Chicago for a work trip
Stories.
and stayed at the historic Hilton Chicago across from Grant Park. My sister also lives in Chicago, and my trip coincided with her bachelorette party. After work on a Friday evening, I had dinner with my sister and two of her friends. I distinctly remember only having one glass of wine at dinner, since the next night would likely include more drinking at the bachelorette party. After dinner, I went back to the hotel and fell asleep. While sleeping, I started having a vivid dream. I was stuck in an elevator. The elevator stopped working. I tried using the intercom to call the operator. The operator started screaming at me through the intercom. It sounded like a cacophony of multiple voices screaming. Suddenly, I woke up. My heart was racing. And that's when I realized being stuck in the elevator was a dream, and the voices that were screaming at me were actually coming from the hallway. A group of people walking through the hallway were being ridiculously loud. Reality hit me that I had been woken up, and I remember feeling very annoyed and thinking I probably won't be able to fall back asleep. I was curled up in a fetal position on my right side. I flipped over to my left side so I could see the time on the digital clock. It was 4 a.m. Central Time. I sighed, feeling anxious about whether or not I'd be able to fall back asleep. I then rolled from the fetal position onto my back. And that's when I saw it. Standing at the foot of the bed, directly in front of me was a man. This man was not completely solid, but more solid than an apparition. I could make out every single detail on this man's face, but there was definitely a low-key glow radiating through him. To this day, I could spot this man in a lineup. His hair was reddish and thinning, high cheekbones, faint mustache, pointy nose. He was wearing a cut-off Celtics jersey. He was staring at me and smiling slightly. Creepy in a, "I'm standing in your hotel room staring at you," creepy way, but not overly creepy. I did not sense this person to be evil, but I was still scared. We stared at each other for what felt like 5 minutes, but was probably 10 to 20 seconds. My thought process during this time went something like this. Did one of those people in the hallway break into my room? No, this doesn't feel like a real person. This feels like a ghost. Maybe it's my guardian angel? Shouldn't my guardian angel be wearing something nicer than a cut-off jersey? Am I having one of those sleep paralysis moments? Can I move? If it's a ghost, wouldn't he have left by now? He's still staring at me. It must be a real person. Oh my God, there's a real person in here. At that moment, I decided this person was real. I sat up in bed and screamed while staring directly at this guy. And all of a sudden, right before my eyes, he just faded away. Almost like pixels dissolving into the air. I'm still sitting in the same spot, breathing heavily. While sitting, I started looking around the room because I was still confused about what had just happened. The door to the bathroom was slightly ajar. And as I looked into the dark doorway, I saw his face again, staring right back at me. We locked eyes. And then once again, he just faded away like pixels. I have never been so scared in my life. I felt incapable of moving or doing anything. I was so scared. I curled up under the bed covers, completely awake for the next hour. Eventually, I grabbed my cell phone off the nightstand and called my boyfriend, now husband. It was 6 a.m. in New York at that point. He didn't answer. Eventually, I got up and went to yoga in the park with my boss that morning and told her the entire story. Then I asked 2 different hotel employees if they ever heard any stories, and they said no. I can't imagine that is true given the historic nature of the hotel. Later that morning, I talked to my boyfriend/husband, and he said it was probably a remote viewer who was just having some fun, going into different hotel rooms. I don't know what it was, but I know it happened.